Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddho Swagato Ayena Bhagavata Dhammo Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sambhu Tammayam Bhagavantam Sadhamam Sasangam Ime Sakare Yataharahan Arupite Abhipujayama Sadhuno Bhante Bhagava Sunjira Parene Bodhoki Pajima Janata Nugamba Manasa Eme Sakare Dugata Banaka Prabhute Patitannato Amadandi Daratan Etaya Sukaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavandam Abhivadi Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sambhu Sangham Namami Mayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Bhagavato Masi Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So, very nice to see everyone again. So please now, everyone here, everyone online, sit up well, good posture, nice straight back, body and mind alert. And prepare to remain absolutely still for the next 55 minutes or so. And any headgear, please remove that. Thank you. Now you close your eyes, and as you close your eyes, you leave everything behind, all that you've been doing, thinking about, worrying about. You put it all down, and you leave it. And you remind yourselves that past is past, future is still in the future, and all you ever really have is now. So try to keep your attention, at least through this evening, here and now. And we commence by bringing to mind the Buddha, our great teacher and inspiration, recollecting his perfect mind, a mind that was not just clear of any kind of corruption or defilement, but far away, far distant from any such, any form of greed, hatred, or delusion. A mind, too, of infinite compassion. A wonderful, wonderful being, perfect in knowledge and conduct. Now, when you recollect the Buddha, when you remind yourselves of his perfect mind, when you happen to see a Buddha Rupa or picture of the Buddha, be inspired to do what you can to cleanse your mind too, and free yourselves utterly of all suffering. And remember that as you walk this difficult path, to do so with a mind of loving kindness, particularly for yourself. Remember to be kind to yourself, caring of yourself, and appreciate and even rejoice in your merits, your good qualities. And be accepting of things as they are now. And likewise, be kind and caring of others. Appreciate their good qualities, their merits, and be accepting of them. And then before we go any further, just take a moment or two to remind yourselves of the harsh reality of our human condition. As we live this life, whatever we do, however much you might acquire, however happy you may be, time is passing. And as time passes, so you're getting older. And it doesn't stop. Life hath but one direction, and time's its only measure. And then at almost any time, you may catch something, fall ill, break something. At any time, we can become sick or unwell. And then no matter what happens, at some point, somewhere, we are bound to die. Aging, sickness, and death. This is the human condition. And this we have to learn to accept and understand. So, to learn to come to terms with this unsatisfactory existence and to free yourselves of suffering, you need to train your mind, which is what we're going to do now. So check that you're still sitting up well, nice posture, and gather and concentrate your mind. And direct your concentrated mind to your body, to being mindful and aware of your physical form, your physical presence. Be aware of the shape that your body makes. The space that it occupies. And then, sitting quite still, you will notice that there is some slight movement as you breathe. Now pay attention to how and where you perceive the breath. And try to fix your attention just there, so that now you can be mindful and aware and watch each incoming breath, each outgoing breath. And if this is quite new to you, you might find it helpful to count your breaths. But in this way, you breathe in and you breathe out, and you count one. Again, you breathe in and you breathe out in your own time, at your own pace, and you count two. And again, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10. But you don't go past 10. After 10, you begin the count all over again. And of course, if you lose the count, if you forget where you are, then you start all over again. It's a simple way of keeping your attention on the breath and alerting you to when your mind has wandered. So if you're new, especially, or if it helps, count the breaths. But whatever you do, try now to be mindful and aware of each incoming breath, the whole breath, each outgoing breath, the whole breath. And if there is any gap between the breaths, just hold your mind ready for the next. Now, if it happens that your mind wanders or something interrupts your concentration, as soon as you notice, as soon as you're aware that this is happening, try to be mindful and aware and watchful. to just watch what you're experiencing. And if there's any reaction in your mind to what has happened and you feel angry or frustrated, pay attention to that too. Watch that. Whatever is happening, be mindful and aware and watchful. And let it go. And find the breath again. And again, try to keep your mind just there with each in-breath and each out-breath. And if it happens again, be mindful and aware. Let it go. Back to the breath. So now you've been sitting very well, very still, very quietly. And please continue like that. But during the next few minutes, while I'm talking, then change your practice slightly to listening. It still requires concentration and awareness. But now it's just listening. Some of you know that the Buddha once gave an instruction to someone who wanted to hear the Dhamma in a very short and simple fashion. And he told that person, when he was walking, to just walk. When sitting, to just sit. Whatever he was doing, to just do that. It's quite a profound piece of advice. A very profound piece of advice. Because we discover when we try to do it that we don't usually just walk or just do anything. Our minds are at work. And while you're walking down the road, perhaps your mind has already arrived. Or it's elsewhere. You're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. You're not just walking down the road. And the same happens with listening. People rarely listen well because inevitably self jumps into the picture. And you hear something and you disagree with it. Your mind wants to argue with it, and so on. So treat this as an important practice, to just listen, or to try to just listen. Now what we've been doing this evening, is to practice the Dhamma, or the Dharma. This word, Dhamma or Dharma, has several layers of meaning. At this time now, in the Buddhist calendar, we're getting ready to celebrate the Buddha's first teaching. And this comes 2 months after the anniversary of the Buddha's enlightenment. Now, following his enlightenment, he spent 7 weeks contemplating what he'd understood. And during that time, he felt that people just wouldn't comprehend what he'd been through and what he'd understood. And so it would be a waste of time trying to express it. What the Buddha was doing during that time, contemplating the Dhamma, contemplating and going over in his mind, ordering in his mind what he'd understood, was to be considering the Dhamma or the Dharma, the truth. That's the first meaning of the Dhamma or Dharma in Buddhist context. What the Buddha understood, the truth. Later on, after he decided that he would teach, that he'd been persuaded that there would be those with but little dust in their eyes who would understand, the Dharma or Dhamma as teaching arrived. The Buddha, out of great compassion, spoke about what he'd understood. He did his best to communicate the Dhamma. And at first, those who he taught were really quite advanced. They'd already been practicing various kinds of meditation for years. And of course, they were being taught by the Buddha. And the Buddha had the ability to know the minds of his hearers. And so those people rapidly understood the truth, the Dhamma, the Dharma. But later on, the people he was teaching weren't so advanced. And he had to encourage them to practice the Dhamma or the Dharma. So we have these 3 layers. We have the Dhamma as truth. We have the Dhamma as teaching, the teaching of the Buddha. And we have the Dhamma as practice. Nowadays, we do have people who really appreciate what the Buddha taught and love to learn it and think about it and discuss it, but they don't always practice it. And unfortunately, in order to realize the Dhamma, to make it your own, you do have to practice it. You do have to do the work. We're not as spiritually advanced as those very early hearers, those who first heard what the Buddha taught. So we have to do some work, because our minds are accustomed to some pretty bad habits. And in consequence, of course, we suffer. We're not really happy. Yes, we have happy times. But then none of those happy times last. And often when they fade and we lose them, we become disappointed and anxious to try and get them again. And all the time, as we're struggling with our thoughts and emotions and so many things, so many movements of our minds, so much aversion, trouble, greed, so much that we don't understand about our life. All the time, our lives are passing. And as our lives pass, so our opportunities gradually disappear. Our opportunities to learn from our experience. Our opportunity to transcend our defilements, our greed, aversion, and delusion. This is the nature of our being. And we lose the chance to be free of our attachments and our suffering. We do have to practice in order to understand and to realize the Dhamma and to make it our own. The Buddha and the great teachers can teach us, but we have to do the practice. And we have to do the work to change our minds. That's what you've been doing this evening. Doing some work to change your mind. And it is a work, because we're trying to turn around habits of not just this lifetime, but perhaps many lifetimes, deeply ingrained habits. Our aim is to be able to see and know for ourselves the true nature of things. Because being ignorant of the true nature of things, we see them as real, lasting, important, and we grasp them, we desire them, and we don't like some of them. We want to be free of some. We even hate some. To free our minds of greed, hatred, and delusion, we have to see the truth for ourselves. And that means clearing up our minds, quietening our minds, and learning to be watchful. When you're clearing up your mind, quietening your mind, concentrating your mind, stilling your mind, then you're able to observe, to watch your mind, to watch your various experiences, and to understand their nature. And that's why when we sit, I ask you to be absolutely still. Yes, your mind probably wanders from time to time. Perhaps your concentration is interrupted by some ache or pain, or you feel you'd like to scratch or get up or watch all those movements of your mind. Those are your teachers. When you observe your aches and pains, what do you see? You see them as changing. Everything about us is changing. But we resist that. We don't admit to that. We're forever going against the grain, against the stream. And of course, we suffer. Our aim, our Buddhist aim, the purpose of the Dhamma is to take us out of that suffering, to transcend that suffering. And so we do our best to learn the Dhamma and to practice it and to make it our own. The Buddha once said just that one must learn, one must practice, one must realize the Dhamma. And it seems to me that it's a case of learning a little. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to remember all that the Buddha taught. So you learn enough. But then you have to practice a lot. And ultimately, you realize everything. So do your best. And that's enough from me for tonight. And we'll sit for just a few more moments, and during these closing moments, please concentrate your minds on loving kindness for yourself, loving kindness for everyone and everything. As you breathe in loving kindness for yourself. As you breathe out loving kindness for everyone and everything. May you and all beings be well and happy. May you and all beings be free from all suffering. May you and all beings realize for yourselves the secure peace of Nibbana. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivadimi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. So thank you all very much for coming. Very good to see you all. I hope you have a good week and we'll meet again soon. Good night.